can't believe that we are in the month where the Seattle Sounders will smash Botafogo. No, I'm kidding. Goodness gracious. Welcome back to Soundwaves from the Sea. We are back. Missed last week. Stuff happens. I mean, there's a lot going on around here. Owen is, doing. Oh, that's right. UW is going to go down to Oregon for track. Is it track and field? I don't keep enough
Yeah,
attention to
track and
that.
field
But
national championships next
so
week.
surely,
You're
no, I
coming,
won't
right?
be there. No, I'm not going to Oregon. I don't need to go to Oregon. It'd just be Owen poking me the whole time. Um, yeah, so three matches to look at from the past well, since we last did an episode, right? Two 1-0 victories. Um, and then this really bizarre 2-3 match. Obviously, there's some other stuff to look ahead to, right? With this being the month of the Club World Cup. Welcome to June. Um, not only Pride Month, but also my birthday month. I don't know if there's a correlation there. Um, yeah, there's a lot of drama with that. And certainly there was some intrigue after the Club World Cash Grab shirts that were worn pregame. Owen mentioned the Sunday night soccer pregame. They talked to Obed Vargas and had some bonus money, which led to a kind of awkward conversation. Um, so a lot to look at here. And like Mike and I were talking about in the press box, I think during halftime at some point, about how they won't use that window to sign anybody because they're just not. They won't. Um, yeah, the FC Dallas match. I mean, this was
Disappointment.
kind of
That's the only way to put it.
frustrating. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they didn't. Oh God, the shot totals in this match are disgusting. That's right, 13 shots for Seattle, 16 for Dallas, three big chances for Seattle, two for Dallas. I mean, that first half looked pretty solid. I was like, hey, okay, it's coming. Wonderful. It did not until an Albert Rusnak penalty in the 86, where he decided to throw his kit into the stands, and Alex Roldan had to go and get it back because they still needed him and they don't have like backup kits. Um, yeah, this one was just kind of frustrating to me, at least that I remember about it. Same story of too many times discussing this club about, generating some chances and getting into dangerous areas with the ball and doing fuck all with it. Um, really quickly, I know we'll do like a kind of look back at these three, but if you have any thoughts on this FC Dallas match?
We were gifted that game. There is no way we're going to score a goal in that game. We were gifted that penalty. Honestly, if we didn't get that penalty, that would have been probably the most disappointing result of the season, considering how we felt going into it. But that's just how I felt. I mean, I'm happy I'll take a win, obviously, but like it wasn't pretty.
Not at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, bright spot is that Christian Roldan had another great game, which is just what he does now.
I'm
Which
you,
is
MLS
is,
best
is
11.
is tough to see, but if, you're going to look at this through green glasses. He did play well. He played well, and he keeps playing well.
That is interesting, and obviously I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but I think Mike, in I think your halftime or your full-time thoughts, you thought you saw Christian limping a little bit after the Minnesota
Yeah,
match,
yeah,
which
I saw
Yes,
that too.
especially at
not
halftime.
great, not great. See, I remember these things. I look at these things. I remember one morning I texted Mike. I was like, "Where's the fucking Orca picture at?" He's like, "I haven't seen it yet."
I
It's
woke
like
up
it's
late.
match day. Let's go. So yeah, that was a disgusting match to see. This one against Dallas. Oh, and this was the one where Yamar left hurt. Yeah, that's
Yes,
right. Not great. Um, so that wasn't great. But then we have this weird Wednesday 5:30 start against San Diego, right? And don't get me wrong, it's fine. Like more Sounders, like I enjoy being at these matches, right? Especially since we've been doing the show, because then I get to look forward to be like, okay, what the fuck is this with whatever happens with the club? It was just weird because this is personal. It doesn't really matter. The Mariners had a game that day, so I was able to stop at the Mariners, do some stuff pregame, go across the street to Sounders, do that match, and then come back to watch the Mariners game. Like, so weird. This also was just a disgusting match. I mean, as I think one of you guys mentioned before we started, Seattle had 37% possession in this one and really kind of had, I mean, outside of like a stretch uh, within the first like 12 minutes, which is like nothing, right? San Diego dominated this pretty heavily. Kind of felt like they had the Sounders on their heels a bit, right? At least I thought so. And it was Jesus Ferreira who did have a few chances in the FC Dallas match, right? But didn't finish them, obviously. Who scored in the 58th minute on kind of if I remember, it was a nice little turnaround.
Yeah, right
Yes.
off
Yeah,
a,
it's just
a free
second
kick.
best
Yeah,
turn at Lumen Field.
um, just and then yeah, San Diego pushed really hard right after that as well. They didn't get anything. I mean, Steph Fry completes another, I think he had 7 saves in this one. Stephen Fry picks up another clean sheet. The nice old man. Yep, 7 shots on target. Um, the old man does it again. I mean, hey, you know, this I mean, just
but
for
this also
Seattle.
this game we had another injury on top of this one.
Oh, was this? Oh, this was the Kim Ki Hee
This is the
game.
Kim. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, so one of your center backs in FC Dallas gone. His what? His Kim's was a calf injury.
mm-hmm.
Yama was shoot.
Yammer was a
Yamar
hamstring.
thank you. Yes, it was a hamstring. Thank you. One guy's hamstring explodes, the other's calf explodes. In the 34th minute as well. The Yamar injury happened in the 6th minute of the FC Dallas match, and then the Kim injury happens in the 34th minute of the San Diego match. And Stu Hawkins comes in, which I know some people had wanted to see anyway. Um, he had some decent plays. I mean, I think I likened it to you guys that he looked like a deer in like
Mm,
headlights in a few situations.
yeah,
He's also a child, so not. I love how like weird Foot Mob is with names. It says his full name as Stuart Russell Hawkins. He's 18, if I remember correctly. Um, so yeah, I mean Seattle gets this one. Paul Rothrock had a pretty decent assist in this one, but it's such a weird game
um,
from them. What's in the San Diego match? Because obviously this is a lot better than the result that they had when they went and played this expansion team earlier in the year.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that came out of this was that they scored and then kind of locked up. Um, and I mean, I'm looking at this momentum chart, and those can lie sometimes, but they really did withstand a lot of pressure. And I think what I came out of this game thinking is that we don't appreciate Stephen Fry nearly enough, and as much as we've talked about how much this team like is set up to move on from him. I don't think we really comprehend what that change is going to be like. I think it's going to be more drastic than you think, and that goes for this, and then that also goes, when we saw him in the locker room. We'll get to this later on Sunday, and how
Mm,
much he was really able to lead that group and articulate that discussion.
yeah,
And
that's a
that's
good
going to
point.
be something for later, but yeah, Stephen Fry was huge in this game.
Stephen Fry has been huge this entire season. I honestly think without Stephen Fry, we'd be looking at very different score lines in half these games. Which is
Yeah,
like it's
there you
not
go.
discrediting like the Sounders defense or Sounders midfield where we're playing. It's just like Fry makes so many incredible saves despite his age.
I remember the one kick save was the one that really got to me. I was like,
Ah,
wow, man, he
Yes.
can really still move like that, and he can react, and I haven't seen that from other guys yet. So when that transition comes, I think it's coming sooner rather than later, and it'll be more drastic.
Do you guys think that Andrew Thomas is the rightful heir to that shirt, or do you think the Sounders should be looking externally? Because I don't think Castro is ready either.
no.
I
Um,
I, I have not seen Jacob Castro play in MLS nearly enough to have an answer to that, but I do think that this change comes internally. I think that's very important.
uh, I thought we saw some really good things at Andy Thomas last year. Obviously, that's last year, right? Um, I don't know. I mean, that is a good question to ask, Michael. It is a good and fair question to pose. Um, I'd like to see more out of him. Obviously, with the way Steph Fry is playing, you're not going to say, fuck it, bring Andy in here, especially with the caliber of matches they've played recently. Obviously, with this Minnesota match, with the San Diego match, and the match they're going to play. Uh, what day is that? Sunday in Vancouver, right? With the Vancouver team that if I remember correctly, will be without some pretty key players, right? Um, I don't know. I want to have faith in Andy Thomas because of some of the things we saw last year, but again, basing things off of 1 year isn't always the healthiest thing. Um, so that I'm gonna lean with cautious yes for now that it would be him, but I don't know. I thought Stephen Cleveland was gonna be that guy at one point, and that
I mean,
wasn't
we've
the
seen
case.
guys leave
I
the
mean,
system and be successful though. Like, I mean, they
Yeah,
haven't been on Stephen Fry's level, but we've seen Tyler Miller and Stephen Cleveland go on to have MLS starting careers for multiple years. I don't think it's a concern that guys can come out of the system and be a starting level keeper. I just think it's not going to be. People are going to accept and Fry, and it's just not
it's
going
not
to be
going to
that,
be it.
which is understandable. The Sounders have been blessed with a top three MLS goalkeeper of all time for over a decade.
it's hard to go from a legend to someone who's trying to be the successor, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Ask Will Rogers. Yep.
Jesus.
Seahawks tryout player, apparently. They're like, ah, fuck it. We have some wild white boys in the quarterback room already. Let's add Will Rogers to it. Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Will Rogers, come on, baby. Hey, I mean, we're not gonna do that. I already forgot Dylan Gabriel. I so often forget his name. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Well, Dylan Gabriel's in a fun situation in Cleveland anyway. Like, whatever happens in that quarterback room. Anyway, we'll get back on track. This Minnesota match, like, you go into halftime scoreless, and truthfully, I didn't see most of the first half. I was doing the thing again where I do the Mariners game and then I come across the street.
Just bopping around between both stadiums.
Pretty much, man. Trying to tell all these people to get out of my way. I had to go and see my friend Mike. I didn't realize you know, he was also on the injury availability report. Um, so yeah, I didn't see most of the first half. So if any of you would like to fill in that blank there, but I didn't have to be there long to see action
No,
because
there wasn't much in the first half. That's the problem. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
Minnesota's seated possession. That's exactly how they play every single time. Sounders were getting up the field really well, top of the box. No one was taking any shots. We had the third least amount of shots we've had in a single half since the beginning of the season, and not a single shot on target. It felt like the team was trying to like play into the box and like pass it into the goal. No one was willing to take a shot. There were plenty of chances where Paul Rothrock had a couple chances at top of the box he could have taken. Albert Rusnak, which we've seen him take plenty of shots from top of the 18, nothing. Decided to pass it backwards or pass to the side. It seemed like everyone was afraid to do something with it.
it's not good.
But the passing was great.
The passing was great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it took two shots from outside the box the whole game. One of them was from a corner, and then the other one was De La Vega in the 6th minute. Like, I don't, I agree with you, Mike, that they were reluctant to take chances, and they have a very good goalkeeper, which is something to understand with this. But I think even with that, you have to. I mean, look at where their third goal came from. You have to chase knockdowns. You have to force them into making saves rather than letting them get really comfortable, especially when you're playing in your own place.
Exactly. And I just felt like Minnesota were they play on the counter. That's everyone knows how that's how they play. But we were playing into their hands so many times, especially in that first half. The amount of times that we saw Minnesota just break immediately after making a defensive stop, and the Sounders were pushed so high up, so we're keeping the ball and moving the ball so high forward that we were just the defenders were just kind of left sitting there on an island.
Let me tell you, this is exactly what happened in our intramural soccer game the other day. Same thing happened. We
Oh,
lost 4-0. So no, that's all I'm saying. I watched the game and it happened. But I would like to shout out Kalani Kosaranzi again. Consistently excellent. We talk about how Stu Hawkins looks like a young guy. Kalani's 2 years older, but he looks so calm when he plays this role and he's willing to really push it. He looks like he's learned a lot from Alex Roldan. Um, but just we've seen him so much this season, and he's deserved for that first team contract. Absolutely. So shout out to him again. Scores again, second goal of the year.
I love the runs that he's been making, especially in the past couple appearances he's seen, like making those runs inside as opposed to like those outside runs that Alex usually makes. I don't know. I think that Rienzi is making a case to be the starting right back going forward.
I don't think that's a scary thing to say. I think he's been very. I don't think Alex Roldan has been playing poorly. I just think he's been more exciting. He's been more creative.
It's just really fun to hear two Ducks talk so positively about a Husky. Like, I will send this to the University of Washington. You will be. No, I'm kidding.
When Oregon brings back its men's soccer program, you will hear.
It's just so weird to like. It is so weird, and I will use this very briefly. You won't get this from me often. That a university that excels in so many athletics does not have a men's soccer program. Like, what is that about? Like, is there a
There's a
reason?
club team.
They do. They have a good club team. We have a good club team.
I'll put Owen on it, and then I'll watch. I don't know. Let me watch. Put Owen on.
I think with U of O, the reason is I remember asking somebody about it. It's the whole thing with like having to have the same amount of men's and women's teams. And I think if there's a men's soccer team, there's like an odd number.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't understand how NCAA or college sports work. So
Yeah, trust me, it's weird getting back into it for me, especially right now, because I'm like, I don't know how this works. Okay. Yeah, I mean that second half, like what the fuck? I mean, you know, we get going and that first one comes in, and I'm like, oh well, I mean, Minnesota's a good club. Like this, I'm not entirely surprised. The Robin Lod penalty, though, just kind of felt like a kick in the balls. You get that, it's like 3 minutes after Minnesota, the first one, and I think, okay, this isn't going to be good. You can put your old adage about the 2-goal lead being the most dangerous one in soccer. Because, I mean, we get the fun Kalani Kosarienzi goal, often pretty solid Pedro ball. I didn't think it was funny that he came off like 5 minutes after that pass. Uh,
it looked like momentum
then
was shifting in our favor for a second there.
yeah, and then 3 minutes later, again, we get this third Minnesota goal of the match, and I think, well, shoot. And Brian says, "Hey, we're gonna make a three switch here
Right now,
right now. All three of you." I mean, it was kind of funny to see the own goal in the 83rd, but I just didn't really have super confidence that Seattle would be able to equalize, especially against Dane St. Clair. Um, just one of the weirder stretches for this club, right?
I want to talk about that third goal real quick because every bit of that sequence is frustrating. Joaquin Pereira gets the ball and he has so much time and space to do what he wants with it at the top of the 18. Nobody's pressuring him. He gets the shot off or slash cross, whatever you want to call it. Fry could have made that save. We've seen him make a save like that multiple times. Bounces off to the left, and Nuhu loses his man right there. And then there's a goal. I think I saw a lot of discourse on Twitter and on Blue Sky. People were saying that, oh, Nuhu's washed, his defending is shit, blah 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 blah. Why is no one talking about the Joaquin Pereira having all the time in the world? That's what I want to know. That made me the most angry about that entire play. Not Nuhu's defending, whatever. We know he's bound to make a mistake like that at least once a game, but like, why wasn't anyone stepping?
I mean, for people talking about Nuhu, I think you talk about his marking as something he struggles with. I mean, we've seen it consistently. He'll lose guys on the back post, but yeah, that wasn't the only issue with where that was, or with that goal. Sorry.
Yeah, I just feel like everyone is blaming Nuhu for it. Like,
yeah, I agree though. It was a frustrating goal. When we talk about crashing shots and when you understand that's the biggest thing they tell defenders is you have to communicate, and you have to understand when a shot goes in that you don't just stop and watch.
The entire game was just a frustrating one. I think especially with the message that the Sounders players were presenting before the game, and then and to see this, I felt like they were obviously distracted, but they just feel like they weren't ready for the game.
It's
Yeah,
even sorry, I'm going back through this. Even the penalties a bit odd. Like,
I think he took ball and man on that. If he definitely got the man. I think he just got both of them, which is why you call that.
yeah,
I
that makes
do
sense.
think it was a penalty. I think it's so hard to not call that.
Yeah, still just weird, right? I mean, you don't often see that where it's just
Oh, of course,
John Bell
it's a
goes and
clumsy play.
essentially walls him. Oh my God. Now I'm just
And
trying
I
to see
think I
this
think
third goal.
leading up to the Club World Cup, I think I expect maybe better performances all the way through instead of just like grinding out wins or
Mm,
having a performance like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you
okay.
it's just been going through my head that like in October you're not going to remember how we got these 3 points. Like that's not what matters. But what does matter now, I think, is how you get these points because when you're going to a stretch like this where we talk about how important these games are, confidence does matter and momentum does matter, and it's not going to matter in October how you won these games, but it is going to matter now, and that's how you get these points.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is you got to have that confidence too with those points, right? Like Minnesota. It is frustrating considering just how good Minnesota's been. Um, oh, I see. Sorry, I'm looking at the match. I'm like, why was Vancouver Portland postponed? It's like, oh yeah, Vancouver had an important match last night that didn't go so well. Um, I don't know. They're certainly in an interesting place. I mean, just I wonder, and as we shift over to kind of the Club World Cup, um, obviously you have Sunday to deal with, right? Vancouver, that's no small stretch in any regard, with obvious it being Cascadia, with how good Vancouver has been. Um, to go into this weird stretch of the Club World Cup and then immediately have I don't think this is super accurate because I remember too the Sounders have Leagues Cup as well, if you'll remember. So,
Oh, don't remind me.
uh oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, like this is not a for like the summer. I think Owen, we talked about this in the beginning of this, right? Like how the summer, there's the Sounders can do the thing where they say "fuck it, I'm goated," and then they turn on in the summer. They haven't really needed to turn on, right? I mean, they've gotten better, I feel like, as the year has gone on, right? They had the rough stretch of injuries. Um, but you look at that. Oh wait, it's not till late July that Leagues Cup pops up. Okay. Still, I mean, to have Club World Cup in June that dominates most of June and have Leagues Cup in July, it's not very forgiving. Um, oh, that's so annoying. Um, it's just such a weird thing for them to have. Sorry, I'm trying to articulate this to get all these thoughts out. To have three of the best teams in the Western Conference be on your docket, and then go into playing some of the best clubs in the world in matches that matter. Um, and right now, because of, and I'm not at all displaying the dispute that's going on with the money, right? I'm saying it is a distraction. Because of that, you're not training properly, right? Christian talked about how they were having Zoom meetings with the other teams that are involved in this, in the Players Association, right? It's like they're not able to dictate their full time to this. And I don't know how great that is because I'm not expecting them to take results from Club Club. I'm not, unfortunately. Um, but you'd at least like to be playing decent football, right? Like you don't want to get absolutely skunked out there. Um, I don't know. It's an interesting time for them, you know? Like anyway, sorry. Any thoughts on the Club World Cash Grab? Because it makes sense. I mean, it's been interesting to kind of see this develop since I think kind of interesting to hear Albert, I think when they were in Portland, talk about, some of the disputes with the money, I believe is when I saw that.
Yeah.
And then it get to this point, where they're talking as a group. And as I think Owen mentioned, Stephen Fry, the leadership that he showed there, um, was huge. Like, I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Because obviously this, like, I left Lumen Field leaving like that was what I remembered most is that storyline.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Owen, you
I
take
think the
it. Yeah.
biggest, yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing we learned from this is that this was not a decision taken lightly, and this is not something that is beginning to happen now. Um, and they were very clear that they were proactive with this discussion, and I think you have to be very clear that it's something you're not talking about that's results based. And we can take a look at the I'm sure you guys have seen it, but the MLSPA statement.
Mm,
I think that's really important just because they're talking about how much work they do with the CBA, and that's a huge discussion in lots of sports, but especially the MLS, and we know the work they've done for that, and they just talked about here. I'm quoting now. For months, the players have privately and respectfully invited the league to get to discuss bonus terms. Yet MLS has failed to bring forward a reasonable proposal. Um, and they're talking about how the league is asking them to deviate from the CBA, which I think is a really important thing to understand. And so what we learned is just that this is not something that they did on a whim, which I wouldn't expect the experienced players in this locker room to do. But the fact that it came to this point is surprising.
It's crazy that when you think about it, MLS is about to pocket 27 million dollars from these three teams from Inter Miami, the Sounders, and LAFC playing this tournament. And yet the players from each team are going to be allotted just $1 million for the whole roster, like distributed amongst $1 million amongst the entire roster. So average, everyone's going to get about $11,000. We've known that the prize money is this big for months now, and yet MLS still hasn't come to the table with the viable solution. It's just
Yeah, I'll be curious to
sucks.
hear what MLS says if it does come out with a statement
mm.
on this side.
I
Or
actually,
if we do hear from Adrian or somebody higher up at the club.
well, the funny thing was Adrian. He was actually in the press conference, the post match presser. He was in there with them. And I watched this on the field. He was down there with the fans, like as he normally is on the sidelines. And then he reaches into his pocket, gets a phone call, and immediately leaves the field. I think that MLS might have gotten the shirts on camera, and so he was probably called away to a meeting. And I tried reaching out to various MLS PR and communications directors and Don Garber himself, right and before the game even started, and I have yet to get any response back at all. I just got a standard. I got one this morning. It was like just a blank statement. It's like, blah 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 is not in office. We will contact you
Um,
when we're ready. And I'm like, okay, cool.
yeah, I have to feel like they saw that and they kind of shit bricks a bit, right? I mean, I'm not surprised with how MLS has handled things. I
Yeah, I just think it's notable because of how much players and the club has talked about supporting players for a long time. It's something that makes Seattle pretty unique among clubs is that players stay here for so long.
mm,
It doesn't happen for a lot of like I was thinking just about a guy like Julian Gressel on Sunday about he's a supremely talented player. He's a starting level right back for any team in MLS, and yet he hasn't stuck somewhere. And he is better than Alex Roldan. He's potentially a more well rounded player than Nuhu. but those guys are here because of what the club has done and how it's done that, and so it surprised me that this has taken so long to be figured out.
Do you think the players sit in the opening game?
That's not something I would guess at. I'm not sure.
It, it's a fair question, Mike, because I was wondering about that as I was leaving. I was like, do we get to a point where, because again, it's so interesting that this is happening right now. Um, and as you both mentioned, and as Steph and Christian talked about, they tried to take private avenues, respectful, whatever, like to make this not a story, so that this didn't happen, so that they didn't come out with shirts of the Monopoly man with a money bag that says Club World Cash Grab, right? And so that this, as I think as mentioned, this was the only match happening, MLS wise, right? And it was on the Sunday Night
Yes.
Soccer, like so it was not something that some match you tucked away in the corner, right? This is two of the best teams in the Western Conference, and this happens then, and Seattle's in this position where they're, obviously, unfortunately, Seattle doesn't get more attention than like a Miami does, right? But they're a big example of this club being involved in this. And so yeah, there's going to be attention on them. So I think, hey, it's up to you to manage that attention how you want, right? The world is looking at you. The league certainly feels heat. The club feels heat. The ball's in their court, right? Like I don't I'm gonna say I don't imagine we get to that point where they sit, but I've seen crazier shit happen. I right? I mean, so it was interesting and kind of I keep thinking about what Owen said about, the way that Steph was front and center for that and how he talked through it. Because Steph, you ever hear Stephen Fry speak? He's always very well thought out. He always it's a professional. Um, it's just interesting to hear him talk about, the situations they're in, how winning CONCACAF Champions League will net you more money than playing in the Club World Cup will, which is ass backwards because you have to win the World Cup to get into this event.
Yeah.
I don't know. All of that to say is I'm like I don't think it'll get to that point where they sit, but I don't know.
But would you be surprised?
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I think a little bit would be okay. They actually fucking did it, but I think like you mentioned Hanauer, right? Um, I don't remember specifically what Brian was saying about it. He said he didn't know about it. I know that in terms of the shirts, right? But and I know he's not involved with getting them the money. Um, I just think they're gonna rush to get this figured out because this is obviously a big deal that this tournament's happening this year. Um, and they don't want any more poo poo on their face. I mean, it's not like FIFA doesn't have any more of that. That's my thought on it. I don't.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if Miami or LA come out with anything similar.
Yeah,
I'm curious because the message is that they're united in this, that these three clubs and all the players are in the have the same understanding. So I'll be curious to see next weekend what happens.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I've actually been talking to a couple people in the Miami and LAFC spheres. LAFC I think they're planning on doing something very similar. Miami wants to do something, but there are players in the locker room that don't want to participate, and I think we can guess which 3 or 4 players might not want to participate in said protest, especially with Inter Miami. But my understanding is both teams will be doing something similar, whether it's the same shirts or something along those lines. I'd expect something this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
wow. Hmm. Hmm. Very interesting to think about. Hmm. Well, I will say, and so I can get this out of the way because I know Owen wanted to do it. And I'll clip this so it's on its own thing. But
Uh,
the guys wanted to do a mailbag, so we'll see. Send your favorite thoughts Please don't call anybody anything mean. I've certainly gotten that before. Um, you can make fun of Owen for his hat, but that's about it. No, I mean, I don't know. I always appreciate open, like legitimate conversation. I think all three of us, being in the media world would appreciate that. Like I'm happy to talk about any of these teams, in real sense. When it gets to weird stuff, that's fine. Like someone had some thoughts on Ryan Kent under Mike's I think full-time thoughts and about how he seems to have the yips lately and doesn't really have as much confidence on the ball. Like maybe you have thoughts on that. Maybe you have thoughts on agreeing with Michael on Kalani Kosurienzi in the starting right back role. I don't know. It's all open discussion, and especially considering we have the one match coming on Sunday, and then after that, the next weekend is Botafogo. Um, you know, we'll have time to answer some stuff, and certainly it'll be fun to look into that before we get into the Club World Cup. Maybe you think that they should use the 10-day signing window, right? If I remember correctly,
Yeah.
to actually use it and spend some money and bring in somebody here. Use it as a hey, you're gonna get insert someone drawing a Photoshop of Cristiano Ronaldo and Sounders kit. I've already seen the bad Photoshop
or
of him in a
GTV.
Botafogo. Hey, make your case. I mean, it's always fun to hear these things, and hey, maybe you've got a different viewpoint that we haven't heard. That's why it's great to have these two because they provide viewpoints that maybe I didn't think of. I'm also a brickhead, so it's great to have other thoughts. Um, yeah, shoot. I mean, past three matches obviously talked about the well, actually, I'm interested about thoughts on Vancouver because obviously Vancouver's not going to be full strength, right? Like, how important is that? Because of Cascadia, because of, for a while it felt like Vancouver was way up in the top of the table. But you look now and oh Jesus. Oh, I don't care about supporter shield. I'm not worried about that. Yeah, that would have really helped. You're now 6 points behind them, but I mean, it's not like you're not within strike. Oh Jesus! And Vancouver has 2 games in hand. Fuck off. Never.
2 games in hand. They're gonna come looking for blood after getting decimated in the Champions
Yeah,
League final. Yeah, they'll have a rotated side, but their rotation pieces are still terrifying. It's gonna be a good game, I think. I think it's gonna be fun. Do I think the
Yeah,
Sounders will win? Probably, yeah. But
I think it's just one of those ones that you want to see how fired up they are because you're either fired up or exhausted for that game if you're Vancouver. Um, we know how teams can like finish their seasons after they really commit to and go deep into Club World Cup. It's a problem that teams have been fighting, as long as they've really been pushing for these trophies. So I'll be curious to see because on one hand you might come out of here and be really fired up and want to show the world, but on the other hand you might just be drained. So I will be curious to see. I think that's the biggest question mark going into this game.
and I would do you think guys think that Sounders go full strength, best 11?
I would hope so.
I would hope so. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, because this goes back to it's a different situation, right? The Portland match you last played, obviously, then you had to deal with the stretch of 3 matches in 7 days. But I mean, you showcased that game mattered more than the other ones you played, right? This game matters. Like you do have a week. Obviously, there are some guys. What is Yamar? He was out. He was listed as several weeks out. I don't think he'll be available, right?
No,
Yeah.
they're
So
expecting Jordan Morris to be back on the bench.
should have asked him when we saw him in the press box. I
That's
think
what they were saying. Oh, that's what we heard from the national TV crew and their
Oh,
conversation
okay.
with the Sounders. Is that Brian Spencer is expecting to see Jordan Morris on the bench and barring any setbacks.
Okay, that's good. Well, and especially interesting because we had a late change to the availability
Yeah.
with the Sunday match because Jesus Ferreira and his wife welcomed a
Congratulations.
child. I don't know. Is it a girl? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a
Um,
baby.
it's a baby. Yes, it is a new human being. So that was
You
interesting.
play center back.
Short-term contract.
Short-term contract. Uh,
4 game loan.
depending on what's wrong with Christian Roldan, it's not like he was asked about it because obviously there are some more important things happening. But yeah, I'm really interested to see if what you guys saw um is anything substantial because that's not great, especially with his importance to this club and how he's been playing this year. Last thing, Michael go down with injury. Christian Roldan picks something up. Can't get a break. Oh my God. Yeah, I anyway, to go back to that, I absolutely really fucking hope that they do. Like, it would be really fascinating to me if they didn't, and I would need to hear the reasoning why. Um, so, so, yeah, past three matches, uh, cash grab, Vancouver. Anything I might have missed from, since we did the last show that either of you would like to bring to the table, um, regarding this club?
I think you covered it pretty well. It has
Now,
been quite the period.
there is one thing we haven't brought up yet, and that is the Pedro de la Vega interest.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys seen that yet?
I'm curious if
I
this was before or after the signing. Do we have the understanding on that? It
As
was
far as
was
I know, and what Nico Moreno was reporting is that Craig Weibel said that there is interest from one of the clubs in our group to sign Pedro de la Vega. It's safe to assume it's probably Botafogo because I don't think Atletico Madrid or PSG are going to be looking for a injury-prone 23-year-old winger, but it's something still we should be keeping an eye on, especially with this 10-day transfer window, and then like once the summer window opens up as well. I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be very curious to understand why the club would let go of a starting level player when you're looking to start to really build your run in here. Um, just we've talked this season about how important depth is. And you've already lost a winger in Paul Ariola. I think you'd have to really have a plan in place if you're going to get rid of a guy like that. Who,
yeah.
as much as he struggled, he's a starting level player, and he will continue to be a starting level player for this team.
I mean, he had a great ball in
Mm-hmm.
to Kalani for that goal. I mean, like it's so much like I'll compare him a little bit to a guy on the Mariners named Gregory Santos. He's this reliever who's got all this talent. He just can't stay healthy. And so he's more people call him as more of an idea than an actual thing. Like the idea of Pedro is so tempting. And you see the like bits and flashes. But I think to Pedro's credit, I think we've seen much more of him than Gregory Santos as someone who sees both of them. Um, yeah, no, like Owen said, I think the big thing is having a plan in place. If it's just okay, he's gone now, and then you're scrambling to figure out what to do, um, I don't like that idea. I would like for you to be a little bit more prepared. God, it feels so long ago that Paul Areola got hurt. Like I scared him a little bit in the press box when I showed up because I think I was a little bit loud, and I looked down and I see him looking up at me, and I was like, okay, let's shut the fuck up then. Try to not scare him away. So yeah, no, but I did think that was interesting when I first saw it, Michael. I was like, oh, that's fascinating. My mind did go straight to Botafogo because I'm like, yeah, if PSG wanted him, I feel like they would have had him. Same with
Yeah.
Atletico, right? Like it's Paris Saint-Germain, Seattle Sounders.
If you get an $8 million
Simply,
offer, do you take it?
ooh, $8 million. That's a decent chunk of money. What are you paying him right now? 7?
I think we paid 6 and some change
Ooh,
for him
uh,
initially.
oh, I don't know, man. I'm sorry. That is pretty enticing. Like, I'm sorry. That whoosh. I'm heavily considering that. Is what I would tell you. Owen,
Owen.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it would be tough to get rid of a very strong player and not replace him. And what we understand from how this front office operates is that they're not going to make a signing just because they get rid of someone. They're going to make a signing because they're ready to make a signing and they feel confident the player's going to
Yeah.
make an impact. I like we don't expect reactionary signings with this, which you feel about it how you will. But what that means is that when you have such a short time like this, and it would take a lot of planning and a lot of faith in order to get rid of a guy in that kind of position.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at.
And that makes sense. And that makes sense. Just simply tell Georgie Manungu to find a finishing ball, and then we can do that. Tell him
Listen,
just,
I'm telling you, man.
hey, bro, lock in. Like, wow,
I said
$8
this like
million.
three times yesterday that if Georgie had any sense of a final ball, he'd be the best winger in MLS. But he doesn't, so here we are.
It's just anytime you see him come down the wing with the ball, I'm like, okay, he's gonna do something. And then I see the dribble, and I'm like, yes, he did something. And then anything after that, usually just, oh, okay, I can look away now. I can go get like another cookie from the press box. I mean, like that. It's just, I mean, when was the last time he connected on something? I think the coolest thing I saw him do against Minnesota was celebrate the own goal. Like he turned directly to the cameraman who was on the sideline and like had a cool celebration and while the fire was happening in the background. So like I'm sure that shot was amazing, but that was the coolest thing he did on that. Like
Yeah, I mean, just like the last thing I would is, I mean, if you have like one sentence, like what does success in the Club World Cup look like for you guys?
oof.
Is it is
Um
it is it a win? Is it a point? Is it we looked competitive? Is it no injuries
I'll take competitive.
yes.
Honestly, if we
I
look competitive in at least one of these games
against Botafogo?
against Botafogo, more than likely, then I'll take it.
That's where I'm at. Just please don't get fucking embarrassed. Like, you know. I mean, it's great. It really is great, like in a vacuum that this is coming here, that the Sounders are a part of it, da 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 da. Not considering the financials that are an issue and problematic. It's wonderful. Like again, like Stefan Fry said, to play some of the best clubs in the world in matches that matter, where it's not like the Sounders I grew up with where they're playing, what Chelsea and friendlies, Dortmund. I remember that. I still have my. Oh, that's in a different room. That would take too much time. I have my Dortmund friendly scarf here. All these German people were like, "What is this place?" And I'm like, "This is Lumen Field." Hey, I think it was CenturyLink at the time still. So it's really cool. I just would love for PSG to go on like a 3-week bender so that they show up wasted here and Georgie Benungu finds his final ball against PSG. And there you go. There's a story. Yeah, look competitive. Don't get fucking hurt. Okay, like be smart about it. I don't need to push Jordan Morris and whatever's left of his knees to the break. Like I don't need to do that. So, all right. Anything else? We good?
Look at that! What an episode! That was a long one,
That was a long
Was
one.
it?
almost
Oh,
an
it
hour.
was. Yeah, the referee
Lots to
is
talk
called.
about. Lots to talk about.
The center official is saying we got to get out of here. So, all right. Yeah, next Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, Vancouver. Vancouver. I am a little bit heaved by what the Vancouver Whitecaps are doing this year, except for getting pounded by Cruz Azul, apparently. Um, hey, I love the color blue. Um, yeah, Sunday, June 8th, 6 p.m. against Vancouver in Vancouver, obviously. Lovely BC place. Yeah, it'll be interesting if you do get. I like how football. I know football's not like to the date with these injuries, but it's like Jordan Morris mid-June. I'm like, "Ugh, fuck. Uh, Kim late June. Obviously, Paul's out. just need a Stu Hawkins masterclass. That's simply all you need. I mean, Reagan was back. I mean, he played a. Oh, they had him come on as. Wait, what happened? How did? Please help
He
me
started.
remember.
He's
He wasn't
subbed
started.
off.
He
He
came
started and
off.
subbed off.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So yes, that the mailbag. We'll get that going. Send that in. I'm sure we'll have comments from different things, whether it's the YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky. There are more people, Sounders people on Blue Sky. Um, you know, so hey, maybe there's some nice grandpa who wants to say something on Facebook. Who knows? So, yep, till we see yeah, I think we'll do one after the Vancouver one, right? Do a nice little that one,
Make it happen.
mailbag, and then get into Botafogo prep. Botafogo doesn't know that Paul Rothrock is coming. Get ready to learn Poly Prime time. But we see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. So where are you going to watch all of the Sounder away games this year?
Away games for the Sounders. Well, since Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports, I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that's a great idea. Go Sounders. Hope we see y'all here.